Yeah, I'm Daniel Sullivan. I'm the founder and head instructor of Warrior Arts Alliance. Also the founder and head instructor at OC Kickboxing and Mixed Martial Arts in Irvine, California. I've been involved with the combative martial arts since 1985. I was fortunate enough to meet Diana Inosanto in a college class. And at the time I was doing Taekwondo. Didn't know anything about the Filipino martial arts or Jeet Kune Do or Muay Thai or any of that. You know, I'd only heard of karate, kung fu, and those sort of, typical martial arts. So, so I met her in a college class, and that fateful day pretty much forever changed my life. She introduced me to her dad, Dan Inosanto, and he introduced me to several different martial arts. The Filipino martial arts, Jeet Kune Do, Muay Thai, Silat, Jiu-Jitsu, Shuto. He's pretty much involved with all the most combative martial arts in the world. He's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he's probably the man, in my opinion, that's done more research into the martial arts than anyone else in the world, hands down. I don't think there's anyone that has even a quarter of the knowledge of him that I know of. I always challenge people, tell me someone who's got more knowledge in the martial arts than Dan Inosanto, and I never hear a single comeback. So, since 1985, I tried to follow the same path that Dan Inosanto and his best friend, mentor, Bruce Lee, were on, back in the 60s and early 70s. Basically they were researching every martial art in the world to try to find, what are the best arts, for the real world, for a real street fight. Basically, it's MMA for the real world. You have MMA for competition, and then you have MMA for combat. And the two are a little bit different, because MMA for combat includes all of the competition arts, like Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and wrestling and boxing, all the mainstream stuff. But, we cross-train in Filipino martial arts. If Muay Thai is the king of the ring, then Filipino martial arts is the king of the streets. Why? Because almost every fight is going to involve a weapon. Fights will always involve a weapon, especially we're here in Bangkok right now, Southeast Asia. People, carry edged weapons. It's accessible. Everyone has one. The other thing, the other major difference between the combat arts and the competition arts is that fights are never one-on-one. Let's be honest. People travel in packs looking for trouble. We've all heard the sales pitch that all fights go to the ground. And, it's true, a lot of fights do go to the ground, but in reality, that's the last place you want to be in a real fight, because it's never one-on-one. It doesn't matter how good you are on the ground. You can be getting a submission, you can be in the top position, you can be ground and pounding, but when the second guy comes along, you're in bad trouble, because he's going to knee your head, he's going to shin kick your head, he's going to soccer kick your teeth in. Yeah, not to take away from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because I'm a black belt. I believe Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is the king of the mat. Yeah, once you get to the floor, Jiu-Jitsu is the best. However, we got to realize that no martial art has everything. So just like in sport MMA, you need to cross-train, right? We know we need to cross-train. I remember in the early days, they go, it's all jiu-jitsu. They never put a good striker in the UFC. For the first, 5 years, there was never a world-class striker in the UFC. Then when they started to put some strikers in, they started to find out that, you need to have a striking game and you need to have a grappling game, right? So it's the same way. For the real world, you need to have a weaponry game. And you need to go outside of the realm of the rules. And so that's what Warrior Arts Alliance is, my organization. It's all about, cross-training in the best martial arts for the real world. Yeah, so as a kid, I was a skinny surfer kid, And I grew up, in a family that, kind of fell apart. My mother left my father, ended up marrying a hippie, and basically turned us into a hippie family, moved us to Santa Cruz, California, like hippie central, And so, when I got there, I ran into trouble right away. Actually, the part of Santa Cruz we lived in was where the hippies weren't. It was where all the rednecks were, and then there was an area where the hippies were. And we were in the redneck area, so, I had the long hair and stuff like that. So I started getting picked on. The new kid in town, we always move around, and so I got picked on here and there. And so, I always wanted to learn self-defense. So one of the things that got me really interested in the martial arts to start with was the Kung Fu series with David Carradine. I loved that he, would never look for trouble. All right, he would never go looking for trouble, and but trouble always found him, and he would always, he would never use more violence than he had to. He would always, just diffuse the situation without hurting the guy as much as possible, right? And he would always try to avoid it, and then there was always the message. He would go back to his Sifu, at the Shaolin temple, and there's always he'd have the flashback, and there's that message there, the lesson you learn in every episode, and I just loved the message and the positive, message that the martial arts sent. So that's what really got me interested in it. And then when Enter the Dragon came out, I was just like, wow, this is amazing. Bruce Lee, and just fascinated with Bruce Lee. I try to avoid conflicts at all costs. I always walk away. I always, will try to talk my way out of it. I very rarely, get into street fights, although I have. When I was in Long Beach, I had several incidents go down. When I lived in, I was in a really bad area of Long Beach when I opened my first martial arts school. But it's always been for me trying not to, to kill the guy, trying not to hurt him too much, trying to just get out of the situation without, I couldn't have it on my conscience that I gave someone brain damage or, maimed them, killed them. So. Yeah, but I've had several incidents go down, and I think one of the great things about the martial arts is that you get confidence, and when you're confident, people just don't really mess with you anymore. They don't bother you. They can sense that you have something. So I was going to show, some possible ways you might be attacked in the real world, and some possible ways in dirty boxing that we might handle that situation. So a lot of times in self-defense, you'll see guys who they're going to shove you, or they're going to grab your clothing, or they're going to grab your neck like that, or they're going to try to pull your head down so you can knee like they do here in Thailand, right? So yeah, so a lot of times if he does that, this is like a double shove to the chest. So when he does that, notice how I'm just getting into here. This is what we call the steering wheel position here. Okay, so when a guy shoves you, or he goes to grab your throat, or he goes to double neck clinch you, or to grab onto your clothing, that sort of thing. When he's got two hands involved, what we like to do is just get into this position here. This is what we call the steering wheel. The great thing about this is you immobilize his arms for a moment, so you can get your headbutt and your knee. That's one of our favorite things to do. Sometimes we just bounce the head here. We're looking to get the clinch, and this is the best time to thumb gouge. You want to elbow grab onto the head and give him a knee. Now this will set up all of your striking from here, all your orthodox, cross, uppercut, cross if you want. So let's look at that one more time. If he shoves you, this is what we call the steering wheel. So you want to headbutt and knee, shoulder butt. See, I'm just turning his head like that to get my thumb gouge. That's my elbow. If I grab onto his head here, that's a knee. This sets up your combination. Cross, uppercut, cross. Yeah, one of the principles that I adhere to, obviously, is cross training, that no martial art has at all. No martial art is complete, and that's why we call it mixed martial arts. So, mixed martial arts for combat. That's what I'm about. Mixed martial arts for the real world. So I think anyone who's serious about learning self-defense needs to have a Thai boxing, Muay Thai background. So I'm here in Bangkok right now. Just did a seminar on dirty boxing, Filipino boxing, but I'm also here to train in Muay Thai. I love Muay Thai. I've been doing it since 1985, and let's be honest, it's the best striking system in the world. I think anyone without a Muay Thai background is really, not serious about learning how to defend themselves. And then obviously Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is the best grappling art out there. Probably there are other great ones too, but I think you need to have some knowledge of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Boxing, boxing is the most sophisticated system of using the hands in all the martial arts, according to Bruce Lee, and I agree with him. Wrestling obviously is very important. Having takedowns, knowing how to defend takedowns. But then what I like to do is mix in other arts that are not so in the mainstream. Like for example, the Filipino martial arts, which is the best with the knife, the stick. Some of the systems have the best empty hands that I've ever seen, like the Inosanto La Costa method of Filipino martial arts. Includes dirty boxing, Filipino boxing, Panantukan or Suntokan, which is a mix of boxing that Master John Lacosta learned in the central region of the Philippines, the Visayas, and then he learned the Silat in the south, in Mindanao. So he mixed Silat with boxing, and it's one of the most sophisticated, the most effective, efficient forms of self-defense that I've ever seen. Dan Inosanto taught me that, over my 30 years of training with him. I've had several workshops with him that focus just on the Filipino boxing, so I took what he did and kind of did my own thing a little bit with the Filipino boxing, and so I think it's one of the best. Silat is one of the best. I like Savate, boxe français. I'm a silver glove in boxe français, one of the best striking arts. But there are, Wing Chun. There are a lot of great martial arts out there. However, some of them, with a lot of martial arts, there's certain things that I like, and it's going to be like that for everyone. There's things that you like, and there's the things that you don't like so much, and so that's why I think it's so important to cross-train. Another important thing about cross-training is that, when you're 20 years old, you go, oh yeah, Muay Thai, MMA, Jiu-Jitsu, but I'm 53 years old, so I've got my share of injuries and stuff like that, and as you start getting older, if you don't cross-train, you're not going to be able to do it anymore, and you'll get depressed, and you'll when you stop training, you just life's just not the same. So it's really important to be able to have different martial arts, ones that you can do. Like the Filipino martial arts is great because you can practice it into your 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Like, a lot of the masters that Guru Dan Inosanto learned from, they were World War II heroes. They fought in the 1st Filipino Infantry Division, and they were, sent to the Philippines to fight over there. They fought with live blades, swords, bolos against the Japanese. So, the World War II veterans, obviously most of them are all gone now. They were heroes. And the Filipinos were no exception to the rule. They were definitely heroes. They fought against the Japanese, and so by the time Guru Dan met these guys, a lot of them were in their 80s, 70s, 80s. Some of them pushing 90, and they could still move. They could still move, still do their thing. Like Lacosta, for example, he was in his late 80s. He still trained every day, and the way he died, he got shot in the back, which is a very sad story, because we all wanted to learn what he had, But yeah, so I think it's great to cross-train because it gives you that option to do, if your body can't do the shin kick anymore, if your hip's bothering you or whatever, you have other things you can practice. So at my academy in Orange County, California, we specialize in beginners. We love to take people who have no martial arts experience at all and teach them how to defend themselves, get them involved with all the different combative martial arts. And normally what I like to do is I like to start people with Thai boxing, with Muay Thai. And there's several reasons for that. One is that they're learning to use their natural weapons, their punches, their kicks, their elbows and their knees, and they're learning basic defenses, that'll work in the real world. They're also, at the same time, getting fit, and being fit is a very important part of being able to defend yourself. Muay Thai, kickboxing, boxing, it gives you timing, it gives you rhythm, it gives you distance, it gives you an understanding of movement, it gives you an understanding of the way that you're probably going to be attacked in the real world now that everyone does Muay Thai, everyone does boxing, everyone does mixed martial arts. So, so I like to start people with Muay Thai, or we start them with MMA. Mixed martial arts, that's the way we do it at my academy, because I offer everything. We have a mixed martial arts program, we have a Muay Thai program, but usually we don't like to start people in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, for example, because like I said, you need to learn how to strike first, in my opinion. I think you don't want to go to the ground right away. If that's all you know, you're going to be in bad trouble in a real situation. If that's all you know how to do is grapple, because it's never a one-on-one fight. So we start people with Muay Thai or MMA. And then once they've gone through, 3 months or so of Muay Thai or MMA, then they become eligible to go into what we call our combat athlete program. And that's where we offer, Jeet Kune Do, Filipino martial arts, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, No-Gi Jiu-Jitsu, Boxe Française Savate. So we offer all those arts taught separately, but we like you to have a base in striking first, because pretty much all the martial arts we teach are striking, they're boxing based. Like the Filipino martial arts is boxing based. Jeet Kune Do is boxing based. Savate, obviously, boxing based. Muay Thai, boxing based. MMA, boxing based. Again, even Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, is, even Helio Gracie believed in boxing. Although, the early Jiu-Jitsu guys weren't the best boxers, but, they've gotten a lot better now. Nowadays, all the Brazilians know you have to do Muay Thai, you have to do boxing, whereas they used to laugh at it in the early days of the UFC. They would laugh at Muay Thai and boxing, but nowadays, they're not laughing anymore, because they realize you have to have a foundation in striking. So, that's where I start people. Muay Thai, boxing, MMA, to get used to their tools, get used to how they, how the body moves and whatnot, and then later on, they can get into the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and whatever else that they want to get involved with. Another thing we get a lot of times is guys who are going to swing wild at your head, right? They're going to throw that big haymaker punch. So in that type of situation, first of all, you want to know how to cover. He throws a big right hand. You need to be able to defend your head in a orthodox way like this first. You got that down. This is what we call a tight cover. Then we have what's called a wider cover like this, okay? So what we have a lot of times in a street fight type of situation, a self-defense situation, is an individual who's angry. He's going to try to punch your head, and a lot of times it's not a nice straight punch. Usually they're going to throw a big wide punch, right? So in that type of scenario, when he comes with a wide, but first of all you need to know how to just cover your head up, right? How to cover your head up, how to protect your head. If you got that down, that's what we call a tight cover. We also have one that we call a wide cover that goes like this, right? And then if you become more advanced, you want to try to get a hit at the same time. So if he comes wide with that one, that's a cover and that's a hit. See, we like to hit with a vertical punch, or hit with a claw, or hit with an elbow. So if he comes wide with his punch, the first one is you just come in with your elbow like that when you cover up here, see? And if you do a wide cover, it's the same sort of a thing here, right? Now, if you go simultaneous, this is one of our favorites. You just come like that, which sets up all of your striking here, whether it's uppercuts, elbows, and knees. So, dirty boxing is basically Filipino boxing. Okay, it comes from Grandmaster Johnny Juanito Lacosta, John Lacosta. Okay, he's one of the instructors of Guru Dan Inosanto. He's very unique in his approach because he traveled all over the Philippines to learn all the different Filipino martial arts. The thing that he was able to do that other Filipino martial arts masters weren't able to do was to learn all the southern styles that aren't really in existence anymore from Mindanao silat, the different Filipino silat systems. So he converted to Islam. The reason why most people weren't able to learn it is they're Christian. They're from the central and the northern region, and Christians are not allowed to learn silat. So what Lacoste did was he converted to Islam and learned to speak 12 different Muslim dialects, so he could learn all the different silat styles, which made him very unique. So what he did is he took the boxing that he learned in the Visayas, in the central region of the Philippines. They call it Suntokan. And he mixed that with silat, so it's a very effective. It's boxing based, but it's got all the dirty techniques. It's got eye gouges, headbutts, knees to the groin, foot stomps, strikes to the arms. We do arm destructions and clinching and double thumbs and grabbing hair and kicking the groin and all that. But you go, oh yeah, well anybody can do that. I know what everybody says. They go, oh, anybody could do that. Yeah, but you got to think about this, okay? I mean, like Bruce Lee, for example, could bury a finger jab from any angle at lightning speed. You wouldn't even see it coming. So someone with skill like that, is another animal to deal with. And people don't realize, they go, oh yeah, well anyone can pick up a weapon. Well, it's not that simple. If you're going against someone who has skill with a weapon, it's very, very different. So it's easy for people in the MMA world to downplay arts that aren't for competition, but usually that's because they don't really have an understanding. They don't have an understanding of what's really out there and what skills outside of their game, how much that can add to what's going on in a real world self-defense or street fighting situation. So Filipino boxing, also known as Panantukan or Suntokan, in my opinion, is one of the best martial arts for the real world, because it includes striking similar to Thai boxing, but it also includes, headbutts, eye gouging, double thumbs, and all types of clinching, knees, short little knee strikes to the groin, and foot stomps and foot sweeps, and overhooks and underhooks, and shots to the throat. But you go, oh yeah, well, anyone can do that. It's not just that it has that. What makes it unique and what makes it so effective is how. How do you get from eye gouging to headbutts to knees to sweeps? How does it flow together? How do you get into it? That's the thing. Everybody knows you can eye gouge somebody, but how do you get into it, right? And how do you get into the other techniques? Like, how do you flow from headbutts, elbows, knees, clinching, and that sort of thing. That's what's so great about Filipino boxing. It's the best in the world at flowing between the regular mainstream type of strikes, like elbows, knees, kicks, punches, into all the dirty tricks that are going to set up your striking. Like an eye gouge, for example. Once you get your eye gouge, that's the best time to hit them with traditional type of boxing strikes.